Until recently, it was unfathomable, but within weeks, fully vaccinated Australians will be allowed to fly in and out of New South Wales quarantine-free. For a brief moment, it seemed like even international tourists would be welcomed. But Scott Morrison has pulled rank over Dominic Perrottet, declaring that stranded citizens are his priority.
Dominic Perrottet is cutting his own path with a faster roadmap in hand.
We are opening Sydney and New South Wales to the world.
The New South Wales Premier is ready to wave goodbye to one of the fixtures of Australia's pandemic response.
A hotel quarantine, home quarantine is a thing of the past.
So just who will be welcome quarantine-free from November?
People coming into Australia, whether it's a tourist or returning Australian.
Until the Prime Minister stepped in just hours later.
This is about Australian residents and citizens first. The Commonwealth Government has made no decision to allow other visa holders, skilled visa holders, student visa holders, international visitors to come into Australia under these arrangements.
We can't live here in a hermit kingdom. Some of the small businesses here, the convenience stores, the cafes, that rely on tourism for their existence.
The overseas arrivals will need 2 doses of a TGA-approved vaccine, and they'll be tested for COVID before they take off. Some experts want more surveillance.
You do need to use rapid antigen tests where people need to then put it onto an app and it goes to the authorities. Otherwise, we will have constantly circulating virus.
But stranded Aussies just can't wait to come home.
We were thrilled. I came home and my husband told me the news, and we actually thought we could be home for Christmas. We could see our family in the first time for 2 years.
Other states are watching carefully.
Everyone just needs to take a chill pill. We're not aware of the full details of a media release hot off the printer from the New South Wales government.
Opening of the international borders was always going to be about visiting friends and family in the first instance. I think what Premier Perrottet has done is made it abundantly clear to the business community and to the tourism sector that he's not standing in our way.
Airlines have reacted almost immediately. Qantas has brought forward its flights to LA and London by a fortnight, and international carriers are expected to do the same. Cecilia O'Connell, ABC News, Sydney.
And so with that, the Premier left the Prime Minister playing catch-up, again demonstrating the power of state leaders during the pandemic. But Scott Morrison has sought to take back control and reassure the other states, making it clear the border reopening will be gradual. Here's political reporter Jane Norman.
The fortress is coming down.
This is a further sign of the national plan coming into effect and allowing Australians to start reclaiming so many of the things that have been taken from them throughout this pandemic.
18 months after the drawbridge was raised, Australia's rejoining the world. From the 1st of November, overseas travel is back.
This is further demonstration of Australians getting vaccinated is enabling them to do more and more and more.
The Prime Minister had flagged the resumption of international travel, but it was New South Wales that cleared the way. The first state to scrap the cap on returning travellers, provided they're fully vaccinated.
The federal government is not opening it up to anything other than Australian citizens and residents and their immediate families.
Scott Morrison dashing the New South Wales Premier's plans for a full international reopening.
The Premier understands that that's a decision for the Commonwealth Government, not for the state governments.
Skilled migrants and students will have to wait, but not for much longer. The federal government's looking to early December to welcome them back. Dominic Perrottet is leaping ahead of the national COVID exit strategy, and his plan to scrap quarantine for returning travellers went well beyond what the Prime Minister was expecting. Scott Morrison, who favours a gradual reopening, has sought to rein him in. But the question is whether the New South Wales approach will pressure other states to follow, or if it hardens the divide between the jurisdictions with COVID and those without.
Well, I think people in New South Wales will be flying to Bali before Broome.
Western Australia's Premier is digging in. With one of the lowest vaccination rates in the country, he's keeping his state's border closed.
We're very keen to keep our current condition until such time as we get extremely high levels of vaccination in place.
Fortress Australia could become Fortress WA. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
A fortress will remain between Sydney and the rest of this state for another fortnight. Regional travel has been delayed until the 1st of November, just as the international border comes down. Emma Sielsen is live for us in Port Macquarie tonight. Emma, how are people feeling about this delay?
There's been a mixed response, Jeremy. Some MPs and mayors had been calling for this, fearing their communities simply weren't ready. The concern wasn't just about vaccination rates, but also the capacity of local health services to cope with the spike in cases. It's a blow to regional businesses eager for the return of tourists.
Being here in Port Macquarie, we've done an amazing job. You know, we're at great vaccination rates, but I know holistically in the region, it's still a little bit low, and we've got to just tread on the side of caution. We've made it this far.
It's a relief for the community, but it's very stressful for businesses because they currently have no market. The local market is chopped in half, and they're very concerned about their survival over the next 2 weeks.
The state government has announced financial support for regional businesses affected by the change.
Emma Sielsen reporting.